Hey everybody, thanks very much for coming back to episode 3 of our weekly YouTube series. And for today's lesson, what I really want to focus on is how you can reach out to those mentors, those thought leaders, those experts who have done exactly what it is that you're trying to do in your business, maybe in a different industry, maybe the exact same industry. And you know that if you could just sit down with them either for lunch or an interview, that could be really, really impactful for your business. Like you could learn from them in 30 minutes and really compress or shorten your learning curve. And so being able to have that conversation would not only be impactful for your business and helping you move onward to that next level, but it also might result in some great content too. There's a recipe for it. And that's what I want to share with you today. The actual practical and tactical steps that you can take and apply out of this business and how to reach out to those experts, mentors, thought leaders, people who have done what you're trying to do before, how you can reach out to them in order to have those great conversations. And I'm going to do that in such a way, I'm going to actually illustrate a personal example and from a brand new friend of mine. His name is Sam. He discovered that he and I live in the exact same town of La Crosse, Wisconsin. He and I were connected on LinkedIn before. And when he discovered that I was here in La Crosse, he reached out to me, established some personal context, and made it very, very easy for me to say yes when time was in my schedule, and it worked beautifully. So we got together last week for coffee in downtown La Crosse, and I'm going to share that entire process with you so you can see how Sam opened the door, how he carried that conversation all the way through, and it worked out fantastically well. So you can take that and use that as a recipe in your business as well. Okay, so let's go into the recipe. The first ingredient in the overall recipe is getting really, really clear, getting really intentional about who you need to reach out to. Who are the people that can help you move your business forward? And oftentimes it's not celebrities and super famous people and people who you might want to rub shoulders with and so forth. It's people who might be influencers in a particular industry and space. But again, it's people who have probably done exactly what it is that you want to do in your business, maybe a different industry, but it's those people who can really provide exceptional mentorship and a path and really light the way and remove some obstacles based on their knowledge and their mistakes and their successes. But getting really intentional, it's not just, boy, I'd really love to have super famous people as guests on my podcast. No, getting really, really intentional and making a very specific list about why you want to have Sarah and why you want to have Jack and why you want to have Beth and Tom and so forth as guests on your show, your blog, your article series, your video series, getting very, very specific about the 5, 10, 15 people who, if you had conversations with them, could really, really move your business forward and help you solve some key problems. So that's the first ingredient. Okay, so ingredient number 2 is to then, once you have that list, to then spend some time learning more about their content, learning more about their platform, learning more about their business, visiting their website, downloading a free chapter if they've recently written a book. Download that free chapter, study it, digest it, really understand where they're coming from, what their perspective was, their lens that they view the world through. Maybe go out and buy their book, download the Audible version, buy the hard copy version, and then actually study it and become an expert on their areas of expertise. So you really become familiar with their content and what they're trying to do in this world or what they have done and the impact that they've created and made. So take some time to really understand who they are, what their point of view is, what their expertise is, and then that will give you some great foundational pieces to use in that future conversation. So then ingredient number 3 is to take the time to reach out to them through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through Twitter, become a follower, start consuming their content. Now, I don't mean that every time that you comment on a post that is somehow going to get you an invitation then to come to their office and sit down for 30 minutes to interview them and pick their brain. That's not what I mean. But connecting on LinkedIn, connecting on Facebook, Twitter, so you can become, again, more familiar with the content that they're sharing on a consistent basis so that when you do have a conversation with them, you're very experienced and you're up to speed with everything that they're sharing. Listen to some of their podcast episodes. Really become familiar with their point of view and what they're sharing with their community. Okay, so then the next ingredient, the fourth ingredient in the process, is then to reach out with what is on the surface going to feel maybe a little bit like an ask, but I can assure you from the recipient's perspective, it feels a little bit more like a give. And that is where, and I'm going to share this example with you that Sam sent to me. In fact, we're going to put it up on screen here in just a second, so you can actually see the verbiage and the way that he structured that message when he sent it to me. And so it's going to feel a little bit like a give, because not that it's, patronizing or overly complimentary or anything like that, but that it's really accurate. It's grounded in the fact that you'll see that, hey, I saw that you were in lacrosse. There's some relationship context. I saw that you were in lacrosse. I really enjoyed the Onward Nation podcast. There's going to be some messaging about the book and some of the things, or my book, Profitable Podcasting, and some of the things that he has learned from that. And you'll see this series of exchanges back and forth with Sam before we met for coffee, and how all of those interactions were structured. So the first message is all about reaching out, establishing some context, if you want to call that breaking the ice. But Sam did a really, really good job here. You can see how he broke all of that down from, you're in town, I'm in town, was listening to your podcast, can't believe that you're in the same town as me, and then getting into what he would like to learn from me if there was ever an opportunity to get together. So next on screen, you'll see the reply that I sent to him, and agreed that, if there was some time, if it matched up with our schedules, sure, I'd be game to sit down, and because I really enjoy being helpful whenever I possibly can. If I can help a business owner solve a problem, I'm always keen to do that, whether it's a phone call or getting together for coffee. So next, I did some additional research too. I went to his profile and saw that, he is an alum of the University of Wisconsin lacrosse, just like me. And so then I sent a message to him, and so that was another way to establish some additional context and break the ice a little bit further, and hopefully lay some groundwork so that we could have a really productive conversation when we did get together. Then in this next reply, Sam let me know that he had purchased a copy of my book, that he was finding it helpful, awesome. And so again, that's not a patronizing comment, but it did let me know that he had some interest, right? That he wasn't just reaching out to me for the sake of reaching out to me, that he was reaching out to me because of a sincere interest to learn and to grow and to be better. And maybe there was something that I could share along the way that would help do that. And by mentioning to me that he had purchased my book, of course that makes me feel good, but it also establishes some additional context of where and how I might be able to be helpful to him. But at the end of this, we got together for an hour. So I took an hour out of my Friday morning and sat down with Sam. I think I was able to give him some structured answers and some strategies that he could consider as he's going down the path of building an audience for his business, and how a podcast might play a role in that. And it was an exceptional experience. So there's the overall recipe of how to reach out to somebody, how to establish the right context, how to carry that conversation forward in a few different iterations. You can see that thread in LinkedIn. But I will say this is the most important piece. It's not actually the ask and then hoping that somebody will say yes. Because more often than not, I think what you'll find is mentors, experts, thought leaders, and so forth, they've done the same thing. That's how they became who they are today. That's how they were able to grow their business, to scale their business, and so forth, because they oftentimes had mentors and experts, people who within their inner circle would, hug and push them, as I talked about in the first episode of this video series. And so I think you'll find that more often than not, people always say yes. But here's the most important piece, that when somebody actually takes their time to sit down with you, to share their insights and wisdom, that you actually do that. That you take the insight that he or she shared with you, you actually implement it. And then you loop back to them, a few weeks later or a month later or whatever the time period is, and say, thank you again for sitting down with me. I took that knowledge, I took those nuggets, those pearls of wisdom, I put them into business, or put them into my business right away. This was the result outcome that happened. And by doing that, it's not that you're looking to compliment the person that you just had lunch or coffee with, but instead you're letting them know that what they shared with you was that valuable, that you put it to practice right away, and it created this result outcome in their business. That is awesome when that happens. That's how you take these relationships deeper and deeper and deeper, and how then your sphere of influence continues to grow because you took the time to reach out with sincerity, you learned the lesson, you applied it right away, and you loop back to them to let them know. And now next time you make an ask for a lunch or a breakfast or a whatever, then they're even more apt to say yes because they had such a great experience with you the first time. Okay, so that's all for this week's episode. Please do let us know what you think by giving us some comments below. Let us know, thumbs up or thumbs down, because all of your feedback helps us get better every single week, and we greatly appreciate it. And please also subscribe to our channel and click the little bell next to the subscribe as well so you'll get the notification. We really appreciate you taking the time. Thanks very much for being here. See you next week.